My whole life was hardship. And to some degree, I try and make sure my life retains some degree of hardship. I left America when I was around 9, and I lived in Luton until the age of 26-ish. But I was kickboxing, right? My fight gym was there, and I was fighting from there before I finally managed to get out. But I grew up in a council estate in Luton, and I am so thankful for it. The best possible thing that can happen to somebody is to be born broke and become rich. If you're born rich, life's terrible. If you're born broke and you stay broke, life's terrible. But to be born broke and become rich is a beautiful thing. Because truthfully, money really isn't all that interesting. What's interesting about money is thinking back to all the times you had no money. I love to go spend $25,000 for dinner, not because the money...
$25,000 for dinner?
All the time, yeah. The point is, the food isn't worth it, and it's not worth 25 G's, but the whole fun of it is just thinking back to when you never had 25 grand in your life. I never had any money in my savings account. I was completely flat broke. So it's the juxtaposition that makes it interesting. There's no light without dark. So I love the fact that I was poor. Those are some of the, in some ways, they were some of the happiest times of my life. Life was simpler back when I was poor. I'm not going to buy into more money, more problems. I'm not going to say that being rich isn't fantastic, because it certainly is. However, when you're broke, you have a very simple, singular focus, which is what it should be, just to make more money. But now my focus is more spread out, because I really do not need to make more money. Many people out here, especially men, are not prepared for wealth. And when I say they're not prepared for wealth, they haven't been through the struggle that's going to allow them to become a man of caliber before they find money. They haven't done the running to the fish stall, running to the gym, getting punched in the face for money. They've never done that. So what happens when a 19-year-old kid catches a crypto pump on some junk like Shiba? Now he's a millionaire, fine. But a few things have happened. First, his ability to work hard has now been destroyed. He'll never work hard again, right? Because look how much money he made with blind luck. You think he's ever going to go out there and get a job and take a pay of 50 grand a year and really dedicate? Never. Even if he lost all that money, the only thing he could ever think to do is to just try and get another pump. He's a gambler now. He's effectively a gambler for the rest of his life. So his whole work ethic's been decimated. He has no caliber. He has no character, right? He's got money, but money is nothing more than an amplifier. Money doesn't change who you are. And the problem with most of these crypto dorks is that they were dorks and now they're rich dorks, but you're still a dork.
You're still a dork.
Yeah, money is just an amplifier. I'll give you an example. Lambo pulls up. Yeah. Nerd gets out. Now he's a super nerd. Oh, some tech dork. He has a Lambo. Who gives a shit? He's a nerd. Lambo pulls up. Big man gets out. Now he's a mafia boss. So my point is that they've missed so many lessons on the path to wealth that wealth used to teach. This is why women used to respect money so much, not just for the money, but you knew you were talking to an ambitious, connected, smart, intelligent man. Yeah. Now you can meet a man with money and he's none of them things. You think money makes you something? Money doesn't make you anything, especially not in the harsh reality of Earth. In the real harsh realities of Earth, bravery makes you something, not your money. Your MetaMask ain't gonna save you if some dude rolls up on you with a blade and decides to stick it in your fucking neck. It's garbage. So these men aren't men. They're amplified dorks. I spent my entire career getting punched in the face. I had 87 professional fights, and for the majority of those fights I didn't even make any money. It's a couple grand, maybe. I was flying around the world to fight some crazy Kazakh in Armenia for like 6-7 G's, coming out with my hand broken, my face busted up. Like I've been to hell and back, and okay, yeah, it was self-inflicted, but genuinely is one of the best things that ever happened to me. I really find it remarkable when I meet men who say they work hard. And I'm not being elitist. I'm not being a horrible guy here, because I'm from the streets, right? I'm from the ghetto. I'm not talking about if you're a taxi driver or whatever, and you've been a taxi driver your whole life. I'm not trying to sit here and shit on you. I'm not trying to do that. I'm saying that, especially if you're a younger man and you have access to the internet and you're paying attention to the things that are going on in the world, and you do your studying and you're not hard to do some work, blah, blah, blah. If you're not afraid of work, I find it amazing there's guys out here who are still broke.
Really?
How can you be poor in the modern society that we live in? Like, there's money everywhere.
There is.
It's literally everywhere. Like, so when I see a dude, he's like, oh yeah, man, I'm broke, da, da, da. I just look at him and go,
you're not trying hard enough.
You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
You're simply not trying hard enough. I can do it from a single mother, effectively, from a Luton council estate to ultra high net worth individual. The unfortunate reality about money is that you are competing. So it's player versus player. It's like anything in the world. If you want that beautiful girl, so does everyone else. You have to win the competition. You want that car, you have to get it first. You want that money, everyone wants that money. You have to compete. It's competitive. Business is competitive. You are competing against people like me. You're competing against people like the people in my network. You're competing about people who only talk about money, who understand money very well, who operate in jurisdictions all around the planet, who are extremely well connected, who know things before you know them, who have mass influence and mass power and mass resource. You're competing against me. This is what you must understand. You're not waking up going, I want to make some money. You're competing against people like me. You're competing against billionaires, you're competing against hedge funds. How did these hedge funds keep growing? Where are they getting that money from? From the brokies. They're robbing you. They're robbing all the poor people from the pension fund, dummy. That's where they get it from. This is who you're competing against. So the competition is absolutely and utterly fierce. Understanding that you're a man with a small pistol up against a mighty army. If you want to add a little bit of laziness on top, you're fucked. So when I say people are lazy, they go, I'm not lazy, I work hard every day. You work 8 hours a day? You work eight? The fuck? If I'm awake, I'm working. I'll be driving my Bugatti Chiron through Dubai, working. I'm texting at the same fucking time. I don't take a second off. I don't take a minute off. I don't relax. I don't rest. I don't stop. I don't chill. None, ever. I'm either asleep or at work. That's it. You drive down a street in London, you're driving past trillions of dollars. There's money everywhere. It's all around us. When I was broke, I thought that the world was broke. I thought that there was no money. And then I got rich and realized that I was completely and utterly wrong. There's so much money. It's everywhere. If I go to try and buy a plane or a jet, they're always sold out. My yacht is a fucking 6-year waiting list. I want a Bugatti, they launch it, the email comes to my email address, 2 minutes later, gone. Like, there's so much money. If I want a diamond watch, or a $1 million watch, or $1 million Rolex, you can't get this stuff. There is so much money out there. Once you get to a certain echelon, you realize there's money fucking everywhere. So there's plenty of money in the world. People with no money are just not very good at taking it. So you need to start paying attention. I started off with a really basic, boring job. I was carrying boxes of ice in a fish market. I wasn't doing anything elaborate, but at least I was working. At least I was getting up at 5 in the morning, running to work, working all day, running to the fight gym, fighting all night, running home.
This is what I respect this.
I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
My family didn't have a car, right? It was literally just run. I used to run 9 miles a day to get places. I had to get places. I just run. So like I couldn't wear nice clothes because I get sweaty, right? So I was this guy who used to wear a tracksuit, a t-shirt, take my t-shirt off so I didn't sweat too much, and just run everywhere around Luton. You just see me, the crazy guy, just running. It was bad. Yeah, I grew up in a bad place. But I've always had, the point is I've always had that fire inside of me. I've always had that desire inside of me. I think every man is born with a masculine fire. I think it's certainly the reason why so many things in history happen. It's the reason why so many armies tried to conquer the land. Look, why? Why would the Romans wake up and look in a random direction and say, let's go over there, whoever's there is kill him? That's inside of men. There's something masculine about conquest, right? That fire has been dampened. It's been dampened by distraction and consumption and all these things. But for me, I think the fact that I was so broke, I couldn't really distract myself. I couldn't consume anything. I couldn't buy anything. Like, so what do? It was either a life of crime or a life of punching people in the face and getting paid for it, so I chose to get paid. The whole field, the whole industry, the whole way we view depression, the way we view happiness, the way we view sadness is all garbage from head to toe. I think it's all bullshit. We can throw the whole thing out the window. And I start, again, when people come to me and say about happiness, and I say, who the fuck said you should be happy in the first place? Who even said you should be? I don't care if you're sad. I never told you you should be happy. How many push-ups can you do? Not enough. Get to fucking work. So this is my whole view on the whole field.
I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I have duties to complete. I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. Happiness to me is a super interesting concept because when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? They're like, what do you mean? It's like, who told you should be happy all the time without working for it? Happiness is at the top of a mountain somewhere. You ain't been anywhere. You haven't even climbed it. Happiness is the number one thing that must be earned. And I'll tell you that my happiness is based on very real world achievements. I couldn't be happy if I was broke. I couldn't be happy if I was obese. I couldn't be happy if I was lonely. I couldn't be happy if I wasn't respected. I couldn't be happy if I couldn't whoop a dude's ass. I couldn't be happy in those scenarios. So I made sure none of them scenarios came true. I have earned my happiness via hard work. It's the top of a mountain which I have climbed. I deserve it. I deserve to go to sleep with a smile on my fucking face and wake up between two bitches. That's what I fucking deserve. And every single guy who hasn't got it probably doesn't deserve it. The universe is very giving and very fair. People seem to think that the world is unfair, and those are all the same people who tell themselves they're unlucky. I actually believe the opposite. I believe the universe is a very giving place. I believe God is a very giving being, and that The world, all in all, generally balances out and is pretty fair. If you're the kind of person who deserves a good life and works their ass off and genuinely wants it and tries very hard, guess what you get 99% of the time? A good life. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't really deserve it, slacks 3 days a week, a little bit lazy, he snakes his friends, talks behind people's back, blah, 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 guess what? Your life ain't all that good. The universe is pretty fair and pretty balanced. I've yet to meet somebody who gets up every day, does what they're supposed to do, works hard, goes to the gym, then goes to work, does their best, makes their money, looks after it, is sensible, doesn't blow it, etc., who then fails. I've never met anybody who fails when they do all the right things. The universe is a very fair and giving place, all in all. There are very few exceptions to that. So when I see somebody who doesn't have the success they want, especially when I see, let's say, a group of people who don't have the success they want, there's no way you're all exceptions to that rule. You may want something, but you certainly don't deserve it, and that's why you don't have it. You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them.
As a man, you have a burden of performance. As a man, you shouldn't be waking up going, how do I get happy? As a man, you wake up and say, okay, how do I perform? You know, and happiness will come at the end of the performance anyway. But if your number one goal as a man, if your number one mission in life is just to be happy, that's going to be an extremely vaporous existence, and you're not going to be a man of substance. The men of substance out there are not necessarily happy people. Mike Tyson wasn't happy when he was smashing people's faces in. That's not how you get there. You don't get there being happy. You're unhappy with your life and you're depressed. I don't expect you to be popping pills and sitting laying in bed. I expect you to give me a huge list of everything you're achieving per day. Depression's a fantastic motivation, you know, but people are told the opposite. No, you feel depressed, that's wrong. You should be happy anyway. Take the pills, stay home, take some time off. Complete garbage. You're depressed? Okay, get up, go for a run, lift more weights, make more money, get a second job, get more girls. Like, you can outrun depression.
The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy.
If I feel sad, it does not change how I act, and it does not change the things I do. If I don't feel like going to the gym, I go to the gym. If I don't feel like working, I will still work. A lot of these people come to me and they say, oh, but I feel this way. I don't put a huge amount of importance on emotions. It's not that I don't feel them. It's that I don't think they have much to do with anything at all. If I wake up in a happy mood and I have a business to run and females to cater for and things to do, if I wake up in a sad mood, I have the same shit to do. I'm going to get it done. This modern obsession with happiness is the number one problem with the world. Because I really don't believe humans were ever evolved to be happy. Were we? Where? Tell me. You're the expert, bro. Where did it come? Where did it come in our timeline that we were supposed to be happy all the time? Who gives a fuck how you feel? Like, your emotion has nothing to do with the harsh reality of this world. You're either successful or you're not. Life is binary. You either win or you lose. You survive or you don't.
Happy or sad, the push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. If you had these things, you would never do dumb shit in the first place. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You could be a genuine force for good in the world. And you know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this, is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fucking fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women. There's street credit in every single fucking city on earth. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy.
So when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? And we're all adults here. This infantile mindset that we're all supposed to be like we were when we were 3 years old, and ooh, something shiny, laugh all the time, run around in circles, ooh, a cardboard box. We're grown-ups and we have responsibilities and we have problems and we have pressure, and you don't necessarily have to be happy to perform, especially if you're a man. I say this all the time. You should never adopt the thinking of someone who is sad. And most people who are out here giving their life advice, if you sit there and go, are you happy? Well, yeah, I'm pretty happy. You're on antidepressants, or you were depressed last year, or you're talking about, like, most of these people giving advice out, you wouldn't even want to be them. So why would you listen to them? I'm not going to listen to anybody unless they're happier than me. Otherwise, I'm never going to listen, you know? So, yeah, it's being rooted out by the mainstream because they want all of us as slaves. They want us as slaves. People who are in charge of the world need people to clean their cars and build their boats. Slaves. That's all it is.
The true masculine imperative is to find a battle worth fighting for. That's why men have always gone to war, and some men died. That's how it's always been for men. As a man, your life shouldn't be about quantity, it should be about quality. And trying to live as long as possible, but being that porridge goo in the middle is not as important as living a shorter amount of time and getting to be the T-bone steak. The world is hyper-competitive. If you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have a fucking ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Yeah. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. I can't comment on being a woman because I'm not one. But the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. Yeah. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a f***ing loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only. Man. So men live in a world which is extremely competitive. For men, it's far more competitive in many other ways. Because we have to compete not only on how we look, but it's also competing on things we can't even help, right? We're trying to compete. Think of all the things you just asked for. You want a guy who's intelligent, a guy who can hold a conversation, a guy who's wise, a guy who's dominant, a guy who can provide safety. You need a guy who's brave, a guy who's capable to provide safety, right? So men are competing in many different realms. It's extremely difficult to be a man. So we're constantly competing, and what we're looking for is status. Men love status. This is the reason why men do the things they do. Why do men join the army and go out there and risk having their legs blown off? It's because they get to say they're a soldier. Why did I enter the cage and enter the ring 87 times to get to say I'm a world champ? I risked my life. Well, that doesn't make any logical sense. Why would I risk my life to go fight some psycho from Russia? Because I get to say I'm the champ, right? Status. Men want status. And this is the thing about the market now. It's getting to the world where it's getting more polarizing. It's getting easier for women. It's getting extremely difficult for men. And if you still want to be a player in the world today, you have to up your game as a man. Yes. You have to. Most people at home don't realize how fragile they are. And you're very fragile if you're broke, but you're also very fragile if you're rich and you're not prepared for the matrix attack, because it's gonna come. It's going to come for you. Yeah. And if you're not prepared for it, they're gonna take everything you own and they're gonna be destitute. If you're a man and you don't view the world as war, I can't imagine how you view the world. My entire worldview is war. I was actually having this conversation the other day about why I avoid extreme sports. This was some girl, she's like, would you ever jump out of a plane with me? I'm like, no.
Why do you avoid extreme sports?
Well, because my life is extreme. But my life is hard. I'm at war. If your life is extreme and you're already at war, the last thing you want to do is jump out of a plane. You want it safety, calm. I want to be left alone. Well, you're hot. Every man wanted you. I got you. I won. That was a war. My Ferrari, everyone wanted it. I bought it. I won. That was war. Along with all the residential properties I own, along with the commercial properties, along with all the domains I own, along with fighting the matrix and the legal system, that's all war. When you see something beautiful, it is war. When you see a big tree, people go, wow, a big beautiful tree, and they don't realize that that was a war amongst saplings.
As you said last time,
there was 30 little trees, and he decided to destroy all the trees around him so he could grow bigger and everything else. It's war. Life has always been war. So why would I want to go start jumping out of planes? No, I want security team and a big gate and safety. I said to her, she goes, oh, but what do you mean your life's extreme? When we leave this establishment, we are going to walk to my car. There are 2 professional armed guards with me, and I
I am still with my head on a swivel. You're just gonna walk to the car because you're a chick. Do. I think leaving the establishment and going to the car is a battle I must win. Because I have to get out, I have to look, I have to make sure I'm not gonna get. I have to get in the car.
Yep.
There's so much going on. You want to jump out the plane because you don't understand that. You think nothing's going on.
Yeah.
For me, my whole life, it's all problems. It's stress. Leave me alone. I'm not jumping out of any planes. I'm not climbing any rocks. I'm not swimming with sharks. That's all for people who don't have enough stress in their life. If you wake up and decide you want to swim with sharks, you are lacking stress, which means you are not trying very hard. Because if you were trying your absolute best and you were important and the Matrix wanted you in jail and your enemies wanted you dead, the last thing you would want to do is go swimming with sharks. You must be out of your mind. It's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Not enough people approach things in life with absolute tenacity. And if you approach anything in your life and you destroy the idea that you could possibly fail, which sounds easy, right? But you could do well. If a man told you he could rip your head off with his little finger and you could tell he really, really believed it, would you want him to try?
No.
You'd be like, no, maybe. I don't know, this guy is way too convinced. You know what I'm saying? So if I had to fight John Jones, I don't care if I had to fight a mountain, I don't care if I had to fight a lion or an alien, whatever. If it's on, it's on. If it's on, then it's on. So I'm coming to win, I ain't coming to lose.
Exactly.
So that's how it goes.
It's a fighter spirit right there.
I really do believe I am still old school in I believe I am a man of my word. And I don't say that like other people say that. I mean I'm genuinely a man of my word. When my father raised me, because I grew up in a poor family. My father was a chess grandmaster, but there's not much money in chess. And my dad loved booze, gambling, and women, right? So the money was out the door. So I grew up poor. And he said, listen, son, only thing I need to give you is your last name. You ain't getting no inheritance. My dad died with $11 in his pocket. Done. You're not getting no inheritance. I'm not giving you no money. I'm giving you your last name, and that's all you need. You're a Tate, right? When I was in school, I remember at the SATs, I think it's the SATs. What did you do in 6th grade or something? I did the SATs in 6th grade and they wanted to move me up 2 grades because I did so fantastically. And I came home to Dad and said, hey Dad, I got 99.9% right, they'll move me up 2 grades. And he goes, you're a Tate, of course. It's like whatever. Like the achievement to the average man is nothing. We're Tates, right? So I'm a man of my word, I'm a man of my name. If I'm gonna sit and tell you, and all you people out here, I don't know you, if I tell you something, it's the truth. And I stand by that. So anyone who's gonna come to me and say, oh Tate, he's full of it, your name isn't worth anything. My name's worth something. I've worked for my name. I've risked my life in the cage for my name. Your name isn't worth a thing. So don't talk to me about what honesty is.
I think the good times are over. I think it's going to go back to the feudal system of kings and serfs and peasants. And I think if you're a normal, average person now, you should feel deep fear and panic and understand that you have a certain amount of time to get into the higher bracket of the social class before these hard times come. And the most scary thing about these hard times is I feel like the gap is going to permanently close. In olden times, the chance of turning into anything more than a peasant when you were born a peasant was effectively zero unless there was chaos, unless there was a war or some great catastrophe which allowed social mobility for you to go to war, win, get a knighthood for bravery, get some land, and change your social mobility class. But there had to be war and chaos for you to escape. Because without the chaos, it's kind of like a prison break. When all the rules are being adhered to and the prison is operating as it should, you're stuck in your cell. But if there's a prison riot, you have a chance to escape, which means uncertainty and chaos are required for the difference in social mobility. And that's always been the case. But now I feel like with AI and certain other things, although there's going to be instability in the world, although they're going to continue to lie to us, I feel like the Matrix is going to gain enough control to keep us all in our pods or in our 15-minute cities, or our electric cars will be turned off, or we need to get our bug rations for the week so that there can't ever be enough true chaos for you to escape. There won't be true social mobility, and I feel like there's going to be a close. The people who are rich now, their bloodlines will be rich for a very long time. And the people who are poor now, they don't get rich soon. In the next 10 years or so, they never will. It's now or never.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible right now. Why are you not panicking? The Titanic just hit the iceberg. You may not be in the water yet, but it's certainty. There's nowhere else to go. It's going to sink.
It's gonna happen.
Panic now. Don't panic at the end with everyone else as they go into the icy depths. No. The gap is closing. The elites hate you. You no longer have sexual consent. You're a permanent criminal in the eyes of the law. They're here to decimate you and your entire bloodline.
You're 22 at the height of your capabilities, the height of your energy. You heal like Wolverine. It is Friday. Are you making money? What are you doing? Oh, there's this band. I really want to see this band. I guess you just deserve to lose, friend. I guess you just need it. I don't feel sorry. I guess you just done it. And that's how I feel. So imagine how the elites feel. We're scum to these people. We are. I'm not a rich man. I'm just a poor man with loads of money. I'm from a Luton, Kansas. I wear diamond watches, bro. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
I'm just a poor man with billions of dollars. But it's scary when you start to understand how all these things really work. And I don't think the average man at home understands this. And if you start to understand it all, the last thing you will lack is motivation. How can you lack motivation? How can an antelope in the jaws of a tiger say, I lack motivation? I'm tired. I'm horny. I want to off. Bro, they're ripping out your throat in real time. You're bleeding out. Fight. Fight back. Oh, no. And then the tigers like me are like, oh, bro, oh, you're going to get eaten. I'm going to eat you. That's what we're going to do.
There's so much work for you to do as a man. I don't know how people I barely sleep, and I never not work, and I never lay in. I'm never lazy. And I don't understand how people don't work all of the time. And when I say that, people say, but work on what? I don't know what to work on. Bro, you need 10 passports, you need 25 bank accounts, you need shell companies, you need a trust fund, you need to make some money, you then need to move that money away, you need multiple places to live, you need a place for your children to live, they need a trust fund. You have stuff to do.
Yep.
And the people are just sitting around doing nothing. It's mind-boggling to me. And I guess if you sit around and do nothing, maybe you won't be successful, but if you're lucky enough to pull something off and make a little bit of money and you get too large, but you haven't done the groundwork, then you get wrecked the other way. They want people inside of their slave containers. They want everyone in the middle.
So I wake up and go, let me do the math. If I never worked again, I could spend $422,000 a day for the rest of my life. I have all the cardio. Do I need no, maybe I'll have coffee. Let me try and chill out today. And within 22 minutes, I'm back on up. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. And I can't stop myself working as a person who doesn't need money. And then there's people with no money who don't work. It blows my mind, which is why the winners are winners and the losers are losers. Losers do a little bit of work and rest. Winners work as hard as possible and worry they're not working hard enough. It's just a separation of personality types. And it's almost like you can't save these people.
There's a huge percentage of the populace which they're beyond saving because of the worst thing you can possibly be, which is a quitter. Being a quitter is the worst thing you could possibly be. God himself can't make a quitter important because the only reason the place you're trying to get to has value is because it was difficult to reach. If everybody could reach it, there'd be no value. Value is linked to scarcity. The whole point gold is valuable is because it's not everywhere. If it was everywhere, it wouldn't have any value. The reason the place you're trying to reach is valuable is because people can't get there. So if you're the kind of person who quits, you're never going to get there. Quitters are the worst. You could give a quitter a map, a treasure map, and a hot air balloon. And say it's going to take you right to the treasure. It's going to be a 7-day journey.
But
here's a sandwich.
Yeah.
And halfway through they'll be like, oh, I'm cold.
Yeah, you just said that, 7 days, nah.
Yeah, and they'll quit.
Yeah.
Quitters will never make it. And there's a huge subsect of the populace who are basically simply quitters. I've never in my life seen anyone who's determined to get something not get it. I've never seen somebody who is determined in their heart to get something not get it. The universe and God is so giving and providing. People think it's difficult out here. I disagree. I've never seen someone wake up and say, nah, this is all I care about. This is all I want. Not get it. Everyone who thought that way in fighting was a world champion. Everyone who thought that way about money was rich. I've never seen anyone fail. Bro, I've seen people with no credit score and no job determined to get an R8 manage to get one on finance somehow. I've seen it. If it's all you want, you're gonna get it.
You're gonna find a way to
You're gonna find a way.
Yeah.
People go, oh, I want this. If you want it, you have it.
Literally, I spoke to a man who had done a podcast recently. He was saying if someone had a gun to your children's head and said to you, the only way I'm going to move this gun is by you making $1 million, you are going to make $1 million.
100%.
Yeah.
You're gonna be motivated for the first time in your life. People often say, if you try your best, it's okay to fail. But what they don't understand, the true secret to the universe is that if you try your best, you never fail.
Yeah.
But anybody with a brain is capable of having anything they want in life. I believe the universe is very giving. And perhaps you will know, but I've never met anyone who genuinely tried their hardest for anything. I've never seen somebody dedicate themselves properly. I've never seen it. I've never seen somebody try their best and not get it. I've seen people pretend to try their best. I've seen people say they want it. I've seen people make excuses for why they'll never have it and not get it. But I've never seen anybody who just wakes up, shuts up, works, and not get it. Ever. You can have anything you want, and that's how you disrupt the matrix. Because most people are lazy and stupid. Sit there, follow instructions, and you'll have everything you've ever desired. The car you want, woman you want, house you want, holidays you want. All you have to do is do the work. You can disrupt the matrix, or you can stay lazy. Stay inside the slave programming, and there'll be people who always do that, and we need them. Because you don't wash your own cars, do you? I don't. So someone's got to do it, and that's how society functions. There's always going to be winners, and there's always going to be losers. One of the things I try very hard not to do is become elitist. Because when you've come from the absolute bottom to the absolute top, and you've done it all off of your own back, and hard work and dedication, and never missing a day, the only shortcut to life is to never miss a day. One, because of compounding interest, and two, because sometimes you get lucky. And you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day. If you don't try every day, you might miss your lucky day. And that's what people don't understand. If you never miss a day and you never don't try and you're always on time, was I late today? No, on time, and you try and improve every aspect of your life, and you're a professional, and you try and make sure that you analyze your decisions, you give yourself feedback, you don't make mistakes, you're not lazy. If you try and you make it to the top, you end up elitist, because you look at the people down below and you're like, well, why didn't you try? I did. Oh, I did too. No, you didn't. That's a lie. Now you're lying to me, and that annoys me. And you catch yourself being very elitist, and this is what's scary about it, because I'm from a Luton council estate, and now I have all this money. But if I meet somebody who's truly broke, I'm not talking about you not have hundreds of millions, but if I meet somebody who's broke, I think they're an idiot. And I catch myself going, is that bad? Am I elitist? Or do I sit down now and I just say, no, I started lower than you and beat you. How are you poor? You're lazy. I believe that money loves speed. And everybody agrees with me when they say this, but absolutely nobody understands what speed is. When me and my team work together, when I say speed, I say we have an idea at 9 a.m. and by 4 p.m. we're making money. Same day, speed. So I was talking to some dude and he was like, oh yeah, I've been working on my music. I was like, bro, I saw you a month ago. You were working on your music. What do you got? Because I'm working on the song. A month? A month? I'll climb Mount Everest in a month. You know what I do in a month? Why are you poor?
You
You're poor because you're not trying. Like a month I could train for anything on the planet. I'll learn classical piano in a month. Talk to me about making one song out of auto-tune. So I made a song in a day to prove a point to this dude. And I got more views on my song than his shit song.
Love speed, man.
Money loves speed. You gotta forget the people who aren't about money around you. It's gotta be all you think about, all you talk about. You gotta start producing. You gotta start attracting attention one way or another. And if you do all those things, you will start to make some money. But next time you're sitting with your friends, this is a challenge for every single person watching this. Next time you sit with your friends, unprompted, come in, sit down, and just join in the conversation. Just join in whatever they're talking about. And after about 20 seconds, sit and think, this is bullshit. This is not gonna make any of us rich. They're talking about this, that, this football game, this guy. This is not gonna make any of us rich.
Nonsense.
Eureka, I am wasting my life. The time to get rich is running out.
Mm-hmm.
The time to get rich is running out. Slavery is coming and you're not gonna be able to escape. The rich are literally getting richer and the poor are literally getting poorer in real time. You can see it happening. And it's about to be have-nots and have-yachts up in his mouth. And if you're on the wrong team, you're never gonna escape. These are some of the last years where a broke person can genuinely escape the matrix. You are running out of time. Forget that patience crap, right? You gotta get rich now. You gotta get rich now. And as a man, you need to prepare yourself for that. And if you're sitting there and you understand what I'm saying to you, because some people are going to listen to this right now and go, some people are going to listen and go, whatever. Some people are going to listen and go, yeah, he's right. But then in 10 minutes after this podcast finishes, go back to run off the And there's going to be a small percentage of people who go, you know what? This Tate guy knows exactly what he's talking about. I need to prepare for the new world. And if you do understand, that's when you join the movement. Because that's what we do.
Andrew, you're simply wrong.
If that's what you believe, Piers,
That's what I believe.
I don't believe in things that take power away.
There is not an eminent doctor in the world
Piers,
that would agree with it.
Piers,
Do you think you know more than doctors?
I can't become clinically depressed
Why do you know?
because I don't believe in it.
Maybe when you want to explore all the levels on the map of life, you don't just want all the levels at the top. See, this is the mistake most people make. They sit there in a normal life and they dream of being rich and going on nice vacations and dreaming of all the nice things. They don't dream of all the bad things. They think they can have all the light with none of the dark. That's not how it works. The only reason you appreciate being rich is because you were poor. If you were born rich, you don't appreciate it. Only reason you appreciate being in good health is because you were once sick. When you're sick, you'll do anything to be healthy. If you've never experienced sickness, you don't know what health is. There is no light without dark. I talk about this all the time. People say I've had a traumatic life. I say, well, then you're very, very fortunate. You had a traumatic life. Now, you may have misused that trauma. You may have misplaced it. You may have accepted the matrix telling you that you now have an excuse to fail, as opposed to using it to grow. But every single man of value went through trauma, and they went through pain. It's going to be painful to get strong, painful to get rich, painful to become important. It's going to be painful to become good with women. Your heart's going to get broken a bunch of times. You have to be prepared for the pain. If you're not ready for pain, you're never going to be anything that matters. So Justin just absolutely and utterly nailed it. My kickboxing coach used to say to me, I used to come in the gym, he'd say, what do you hate the most? And I said, I hate running. He'd say, okay, you're going running. I'd say, why? He goes, because whatever you hate is what you need. Whatever you hate is what you need. I wanted to spar, bag work, pads, no problem. Running, I didn't want to run, but that's what you need. And that's what life's about. You're not going to be able to go through life avoiding pain and also becoming a man of quality. You're going to have to be that guy who's been through so much shit that he can wake up and go, this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing compared to back then. This ain't nothing compared to that time. You know, and if you're not going to be that guy, then you're going to always suffer the consequences of not being that guy.
Well, I know one thing, and this is a true statement that I've said several times. A lot of us don't know of a whole nother world that exists. It's on the other side of suffering. Once you break these barriers that you have made for yourself, like the mind is the most powerful thing in the world. It is so amazing that I used to be a 300-pound guy and I thought that was it. Could barely read, could do anything. And now that what was inside that person was this guy that's in front of you today. That's how scary the mind is. And that's what I started realizing through this journey, is that once I got a taste of, wow, man, I haven't even begun to crack what the mind is capable of. And what I started realizing is on the other end of suffering, that's the real growth of life, because you realize how the mind processes shit. And I talk about another thing called theory and practice. A lot of people are theorists. These smart guys that read these fucking books and shit, man, and they sit down, they tell you what the mind is supposed to do. And a lot of us listen to that shit. It becomes like, this is it, man. This old man who has been studying the mind forever, this is the cap that we have. By being a practitioner, I went out and realized a lot of these guys are so wrong, man. The mind has capabilities that are so unknown, and I found that through suffering. And there's a whole nother world on the other end of that.
There's pain to become important, and there's pain in not being important. So you have to make a choice. So I think Justin absolutely utterly nailed it. I think his answer is even better than mine could be. You need to find something you're afraid of, find something that could hurt you, and go do it. And that's one of the great things about being young, right? You're basically superhuman.
Yeah.
All of us are our age. We're all in our 30s. I remember when I was 21. Bro, I
Run
could
through a wall.
Bro, I could drink all night.
Yeah.
I run 20 miles.
Fight
You
all
couldn't
day.
hurt me. Like I had Wolverine-like healing abilities, and this is actually one of the problems with the world today. I noticed the internet's f***ed this up because we have all these youngsters who have a voice. They all think they know something on Twitter and on the internet. These kids, right? When I was 23, 22, I didn't know shit. I'm 35 now. I'm one of the smartest men on the planet. And when I was 23, I didn't know shit. When you're 35, you're definitely going to still be a dumbass. So when you're 23, like you are now, you don't know anything. Your only attribute is the fact you have Wolverine-like healing abilities and you're not using it. Stop talking
Start listening. Get out there. Get hurt. Get the back up. There is a degree of wisdom that comes from physicality. I learned a whole bunch of shit about the world from just having my ass kicked. It wasn't even conversations. It was just getting beaten up. And you learn about the world I write tweets and people are like, that's so wise. Where'd you learn that? I was like, oh, kicked in the face. That's how.
What do you believe about depression? Do you believe depression is a real thing?
I believe that feeling depressed is real. I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real, no. I believe that the number one power you have against these things are trying to take control of your own mind and affecting your own life. I believe that it's not healthy to hand over all your power and believe that depression is an outside disease that you can't affect. I know that when I've had difficult periods in my life, and also many of my friends, like I've said, suffer from PTSD and been through terrible things. I've lived a very difficult life, and I know people who have, that the things that made them feel better is when they woke up and said, you know what, I'm not gonna allow this to damage me anymore. I'm gonna take responsibility. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna fight this as hard as I can. If someone comes to me and says I'm clinically depressed or I feel very, very sad, I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop accepting you have no control over this. And my point is that a lot of people who are clinically depressed are suffering with something in their life, and if you fix the problem in their life, perhaps they won't feel depressed anymore. That's not a disease.
Yeah, but Andrew,
that's situational.
Andrew, you're simply wrong.
If that's what you believe, Piers.
That's what I believe.
I don't believe in things that take power away.
There is not an eminent doctor in the world
Piers
that would agree with it.
Piers,
Do you think you know more than doctors?
I can't become clinically depressed.
Why do you know?
Because I don't believe in it.
Your mind has a tactical advantage over you at all times. It knows your weaknesses, it knows your strengths, and it will guide you into your nice comfort zone.
Yeah.
We have to reprogram our mind to get a different vantage point, so then you know how to be in charge of yourself.
Yep.
Versus your mind being in charge of you. I call that my 40% rule, where like a car has a governor on it. It can go 130, the governor's only going to go 91.
Right.
And the whole thing about that is a true statement, like what you said. Our mind wants to protect us. The mind is like, honestly, it has a tactical advantage over us. It knows our deepest, darkest fears or insecurities. It knows where we start to feel, we start getting that doubt creeping that says, hey man, you know what, man, maybe this isn't good. Let's go back home to the wife. Let's go back home to the kids. This is not comfortable. So in that moment, the mind directs us. It's a protective mechanism. It saves us from doing bodily harm, or it really saves us from discovering that the mind's like, I want to be in charge of you. I don't want you to be in charge of me. So it tells you, let's just stop right here. But once you start breaking through that barrier and start breaking down that governor that you've put in your mind, because we forget we are in control of our mind. We believe it's the other way around. No, we put in our minds what we should do, but we believe our mind is telling us, it's giving us all this feedback. We have to reprogram it and tell us, no, we're good. We're good, this sucks, but it's okay. Everything I've ever done in my life, I didn't want to do. Everything, every day. I'm a lazy piece of shit. And I'm one of the hardest working people that ever stepped foot on this planet Earth. And I'm saying that very proudly because I know what I do. It's not cocky. I'll tell you I'm stupid. And I'll also tell you the exact opposite of what I've done. It's the truth. It is the truth. So imagine how much I've developed in that time frame. But it's the scary thing. Why most people don't want to do that, build that willpower, is because it is scary. It unlocks a whole bunch of things about who you are and who you're not. And a lot of people don't want to go down that journey to discover who they are and who they're not. Because it's not a pretty journey. I mean, I've gone down it. It's not like I went down it once. I go down it all the time. And when you unlock that, and you can't just turn it off. Like people say, hey, well, how come you haven't retired yet? I built all this willpower. Do you think it's gonna let me just retire because my knees hurt? It's telling me every morning, I wake up like, man, my knees hurt, my legs hurt, my body hurts, but you can still run. So why aren't you running? If you can still run, there'll be a time when you can't lace them up anymore, but you can still run. So I still run. When the time comes I can't run, the body will say, you just can't run. But if I can still do something, that willpower that I have created, it makes me do it every day. And that's what they don't get. What builds a human being is you start with the small building blocks. And before you know it, man, you become something that it doesn't even make sense to most people because it's just who you are now. That's why I can still run at 50 at 49 with broke down knees and broke down body, because my body knows you still can. Therefore, I do. Second you stop, the willpower is gone.
I made this decision to be this man, and I understood exactly what it comes with. And a lot of people at the bottom see all of the benefits. They see our cars, see the private jets, they see the girls, they see the status, and they want all of that, but they don't want the negatives. And that's why they're never going to get it.
Yep.
Because on your way up, you're going to start getting hit with the negatives. You're going to be derailed. There's no way to get to the top without dealing with monumental levels of stress. I often say the reason a lot of people don't have the things they want is they couldn't handle the things they want. They couldn't handle the life that is required to get the things they want. They simply would get anywhere near it and start to panic and pussy out and just go on holiday and hide on a beach and delete their social media.
Even comments.
Bro, mean comments. I've got street problems. You think I give a f- about mean comments from some anon? It's difficult for me to put into words how much I don't care. But there's people out there that do care.
Yeah.
And then they think, oh, I want to be like Top G, but you can't handle a comment on the internet. Bruv, these people are born to lose. So you have to decide, and you need to look in the mirror and really make a decision, because I think perhaps if you want to build a life, choosing your life path and knowing which life path you want to go down is going to allow you to be the most effective in the construction of that life. If you say, I can't handle that stress, I want to be somewhere in the middle, then accept it, accept the good and bad that comes with that, accept the kind of life you want to build and go do it. But don't sit there and say, I want to be Top G, I want to live this great life, and you're not prepared for war.
What's funny is this: if you were to take somebody who says, I'm doing my best, I'm really trying, and you were to get an exact schedule of their last week and find all the times they've wasted time, you'd say, look, you've wasted time, wasted time, wasted time, wasted time. You know what's actually amazing? Most of those people are not even self-reflective enough to go, you're right, I'm not trying my best. You know what they'd say? Well, I have to rest sometimes. Well, I have to have a social life. Well, they'd be so arrogant. God loves people who try. God loves people who work hard. It's amazing if you try your very best all the time, what God will give you. He'll give it to you, anything you want, if you actually try. I am absolutely and utterly a believer in hard work. I'm a proponent of hard work. I have all this money and all I do is work. My entire life is work. This podcast is work. I'm getting in the car, I'm going to another meeting, work. I'm going to go to the gym so I'm in good shape, work. It's all work. My entire life is work. And people don't want to look at life that way. They want to talk about work-life balance and being lazy and all this crap. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in, if you want to win, you have to outcompete the man who's prepared to do nothing but work. It's player versus player. If you're going to sit there and go, I don't want to work more than an hour a day, well, the guy who does want to work more than an hour a day is going to beat you. And no matter how smart you are, there's always a smart dude who's doing the same smart work you are for more hours than you're doing it. That's just the nature of the game. So if you're the kind of person who's going to quit because it's hard, then f*** off. I don't even want your energy around me.
I have so many conversations in my mind because so many times I want to quit.
Sure.
But this is what it is. This is what I figured out. I was so afraid of myself that I had to figure out, I became a master of my mind. People, when you're afraid of something, you have to master it. That's how you start to overcome it. So what I realized, when I get to that point where I want to quit, everybody, they get to the point where they want to quit. This is what happens. The mind tells you, let's go home. Let's take a warm shower. Let's get some food. This is not right. This is that. If you cannot answer the questions at that moment, because your mind's gonna start giving you all these questions. And if you can't answer them, you're going to quit. What I realized when I was going through Budge, Ranger School, all this 100-mile race, 200-mile races, pull-up records, my mind would come creeping in. Like when I was doing 4,030 pull-ups at 2,000 pull-ups and my hands were ripped open, my mind said, look, brother, we've done all these other things. You've proven yourself. You're good. If I didn't have the answer to respond to my mind and say why I'm here, why I'm doing this, you will always lose that fight. You have to have the response to what your mind is going to tell you. And another thing about that is self-talk. A lot of people have like these big four on mental toughness. All that shit is crap about self-talk, visualization. It's true. But the thing about self-talk and all these things, they ask me, what do you think about when you're on mile 100 of a 205-mile run? What are you thinking about when you realize you've run for 24 hours and you have 24 more hours to run and you have another 105 miles? What goes through your mind? What do you say to yourself? I want to know. A lot of people think self-talk works. It does, but it doesn't work without the suffering before your mind starts saying we need self-talk. So what I tell myself is I go back to the months and years of preparation to get to that day. And I'm telling myself, the 3:30 in the morning, and I'm looking at my shoes and I want to go out there and run 30 miles. I have to, in that second, in that moment of this self-talk, my mind saying, you got to find more, you got to find more. I once again calm down, go back into my mind, in my cookie jar, I call it, and I have to reflect back on the shit I did to get here. And that becomes my self-talk. Self-talk does not work unless it is real. Most of us lie to ourselves in the self-talk. It doesn't work. It has to be real. It has to be something that you've done to make it really work.
What do you say to young men who come to you for advice, who feel lost, who don't really know where they fit into society?
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you. You're only going to be cared about based on how useful you are. You have the chance to build yourself up and become a superhero if you're prepared to do the hard work and be indefatigable enough to never quit. But if you're going to stand around and wait for a handout, nobody's going to ever respect you. And I think that a lot of people have forgotten about how difficult and how competitive it is as a man. We're always in constant competition with each other. And it's your duty as a man to stand up and say, I want to be as important and strong and good-hearted and God-fearing as possible. And I need to work hard to achieve those things.
Dame Sheila Hancock says we've become too over-emotional as a society, crying too much about everything. Has she got a point?
She's completely right. And the dangerous thing about overly emotional men is that they're dangerous. They're genuinely dangerous. This is what's crazy. All these people who talk about toxic masculinity and how bad it is for men to be traditionally masculine. A traditionally masculine man does things he doesn't feel like doing because it is his duty to do them. He charges into the building because it is his duty. Not because he feels like it, because it is his duty. We're now teaching the new generation of men that they don't have duty and they can just act on their feelings and act how they feel and they don't have to act as a man should. Do you know what happens when you get men who just act how they feel? You get school shooters, you get violence, you get rapists. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people. He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects for and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're going to find a dangerous man. Sitting here telling men to cry more and act with their feelings and it's okay to feel this way, that way, etc., and have no self-control. That is why we have the problems we have in the world. Absolutely and utterly wrong. So when they talk about toxic masculinity, they have it completely inversed on its head, completely and utterly wrong. We need to be teaching stoicism. We need to be teaching young men to understand that the world is very, very difficult. It's hard to be a man. You're going to feel bad sometimes. You just suck it up and perform anyway. Not to sit there and cry your eyes out or blame other people.
What do you think most people get wrong about motivation?
They think it's a permanent fix. They think it's something that is a constant. They think that maybe once I get it, I'm going to hold on to it. And that's the thing about that I was telling you, that I always talk about. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. And a lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. You have to learn to perform a lot of different things. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation to work out, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they just don't do it. And that's where you fail. You have to learn to train your mind well beyond motivation. If you have motivation, that's great. That's some kindling to the fire. All it takes is a little bit of fucking spark, you can burn the whole forest up. But motivation, you have to learn to exist without it. You have to learn to be, you have to be your best self when you're least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that shit. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind on where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there. Because I'm not going to always be motivated.
Jocko said the exact same thing. He said that discipline eats motivation for breakfast.
And discipline is good too. But without a clear headspace, there's no discipline.
What do you mean?
So let's say we have a circuit breaker, okay? And I'm loading everything up to one circuit. Just load it up. It's gonna fucking blow. And once that thing blows, man, the circuit's all fucked up. You gotta have each thing plugged into the right spot. like a crowded garage. You can't put anything in it. Once your brain is crowded, discipline is great, motivation is great, but if you can't fit shit in your brain because it's all cluttered with shit, there's no discipline. You may have it sometimes when it fits in that crowded garage of your mind, but you don't have the consistency that you need to have with that discipline.
So what are you talking about here? Are you saying doing self-work and reflecting on you as an individual? Are you doing therapy?
I call it mental zones. I don't get into it much because we'd be here all day. But basically, is you're organizing your mind so you can put that discipline. So a lot of people talk about discipline. Okay, great. Why do you fall off the wagon? Why can't I continue with this routine? Going to the gym, being better, waking up early, eating the right foods. It's because maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your job, and it's all just stuffed in your brain. You don't have it compartmentalized and organized in these nice shelves. Like you look in the garage, it's all a nice organized militant garage. Hey, where are my dumbbells? Right there. A lot of people whose brain, hey, where's my dumbbells? Let me look. They're throwing shit, they're looking through totes, they're all up. So where am I gonna put discipline in that mind if I can't find other shit? You gotta be able to find all these different things in your mind. Oh, I can put discipline right there. I can put consistency right there. I can put all these things right there in that spot. So that's what I'm talking about. If your life is not organized, and your life being everything around you, because it takes one little piece of an outside interference to clutter your whole mind.
Because it's on such a knife edge.
That's right. And people don't get that. Your mind has to always be clear. That's why I meditate 2 hours every single night. Because I refresh, I reorganize the garage, which is my mind, every night. So then discipline's in there, organization, everything is in this right spot. So when I wake up, I'm ready to go.